Well, I've arrived. Where have you arrived, Finn? I've arrived at beautiful Loch Lass. And why? Why have you come here, Finn? Well, tonight I am going to try and sleep way up there. Quite high, as far as you can go up to the very tip of the forest where I'm going to reside tonight. And see how that feels. Day 1. Day 2, thinking about trying something a little more complicated.
In March 2022, a 32-year-old Scottish bushcraft instructor named Finn Creaney set out on a solo hike in the Highlands, and he vanished without a trace. Despite his survival skills and an extensive search effort, no solid clues have ever been found out about what happened to him. This is the mysterious disappearance of Finn Creaney. Let's begin with who Finn Creaney was. He was born around 1989 and was living near Tain in Easter Ross, Scotland. He was a keen outdoorsman, survivalist and educator. He ran a business teaching bushcraft and wilderness skills. In 2021, he launched a YouTube channel under the name Wildcat Bushcraft, where he posted videos demonstrating survival techniques, shelter building, and adventures in remote terrain. In early 2022, Finn's life seemed to be going well. He had a loving wife called Lucy, a young daughter named as Luna, and the couple were expecting a second child. He appeared content and ambitious. There was no public indication that he was planning to disappear or that he was in financial distress. In fact, all seemed to be going well for Finn. On Friday, the 25th of March 2022, Finn set out on a planned solo hike from Loch Naver, heading towards Golspie in Sutherland. He left his car at Golspie Beach's car park, intending to end his walk there. He was dropped off near the B873 road by the Loch Naver caravan park around 2:15 p.m. Earlier that afternoon, at 12:52 p.m, he left a voicemail for his wife, saying, "Hey honey, I love you lots and I'm really proud of you." His phone last registered a signal at 1:47 p.m. in the Larg area before he began the more remote part of his hike. After that, there was no further contact, no text messages read, no calls returned, no social media activity, nothing at all. The next day and into the weekend, family and colleagues began to worry. When Finn didn't show up by Sunday or Monday, his wife Lucy reported him missing on the 28th of March 2022. A large coordinated search was launched. Scottish police, mountain rescue, coast guard, air units, drones and even cadaver dogs were out there. Over the next weeks, no trace of Finn was found, no campsite, no footprint trails, no camera equipment, no body, no belongings, nothing. It's as if he vanished into thin air. One and a half years later, in October 2023, Finn's father revealed that Finn's rucksack had been discovered near Loch Naver by a couple of deer stalkers. Inside the pack were some items, though authorities have not disclosed full details. Now, for me to look at this case and try and understand what happened to Finn, details such as what was found in that rucksack are vital pieces of information to try and work out what happened to Finn. But yet the authorities have decided not to disclose this information. Guys, I've done a few checks to see if I could find out what was in that rucksack. Unfortunately, there is no publicly released detailed statement from Police Scotland confirming exactly what they found inside the rucksack, or whether any forensic evidence linked it directly to Finn's final movements after its discovery in October 2023. Now, there are some media coverage notes that show that police divers searched the section of the loch near where the rucksack was found, and likely the start point, but reportedly they came up with nothing. Finn's father issued a public update after the rucksack was found.
Hi, I'm Mark, father of missing hiker Finn Creaney. I just thought I'd give you a little update to tell where we are just now. As you know, Finn went missing 18 months ago on his hike from Loch Naver to Golspie, and And despite searching the house for all that time, we found no clues to him being there, and that was up to 2 weeks ago, when a couple of deer stalkers on their way to Loch Naver came across Finn's rucksack at the side of Loch Naver, and closer inspection of the rucksack and its belongings and a few other items that I can't really get into, we now believe that Finn attempted to swim the loch in order to cut his journey time somewhat to the coast. Now Finn is a really strong swimmer and a good wild swimmer, but for some reasons that we don't know about, we fear that he may not have made the swim. Now, police divers have been down last week and they searched the area where the rucksack was found and his possible start point, and they came up with nothing. Now this is just a real blow to Finn's family and everybody that cares about Finn, everybody that loves him. And we're unfortunately preparing ourselves for the worst. But I'll keep you updated hopefully as things go along. And as always, we're determined to bring our boy home to us. Because we need him home. And so thank you, and thank for all your support, and hopefully we'll get through these times.
So, based on the rucksack's position, they seem to believe that Finn might have attempted to swim across the loch to shorten his route to the coast, even though divers searched parts of the loch and the surrounding shores, but reportedly found nothing of relevance. One of the few purported eyewitness accounts comes from motorcyclists who claims to have seen someone matching Finn's description at around 3:45 p.m, about 3 miles from where he was dropped off. They said he seemed upbeat and walking and in good spirits. However, this account is not confirmed by any official record that is publicly available, so we lack details about the make of the bike. We don't know if the riders stopped or spoke with him, or whether police fully followed this up. So while it's tantalizing, it must be treated as a possible lead and not proof. So it leaves us with a couple of questions. Was Finn walking along the road at that time? Could he have deviated into the wilderness and then rejoined the road? Could the bikers have seen somebody else?
But anyway, he was filming the final episode of season 2, and it was the 40 kilometre. He did a 5 kilometre last year, 20 kilometre at the winter, and then 40 kilometre was the final episode for season 2. And it's Loch Naver to Golspie. We don't have an exact map because he didn't leave an exact map. That again, that's just the norm, you know. However, I'm sure the next time he absolutely will, because I will be making sure he does. Anyway, he does this bushcraft and survival. He does these challenges. He was started on the Friday and he was due to be back on the Sunday morning. He didn't return on the Sunday morning. I waited until the Monday, then phoned his work to see if he maybe got to work. Maybe he was a little late and misjudged the 40 kilometre and maybe it took a little bit longer. Nope, they haven't seen him, and no one has seen him since. So there's been sightings, but it's none of them have been him. There's a biker sighting that might potentially be him, but nothing's 100%, you know. So we're just trying our best to find something, or you know, so on and so forth. It's very bizarre. We have been out there for 7 months. I've had sniffer dogs, cadaver dogs, divers, boots, a mountain rescue team. I've had RAF, I've had police copters, I've had thermal signatures, I've had drones, I've had all sorts out there, authority, all that jazz, and there's literally no trace. Like, Mark Creaney is his dad, and he is out there right now, camping between Loch Chor and Loch Naver, and there's still no sight, nothing. Like, there's not one fire, not one trace, and he would have had to have made a fire. His phone switched off at 1:46 p.m, which is weird, and has not been switched on ever since as well. We can't make sense of that part either. and we're just trying our best to find the answers, to be honest with you. So yeah, and within the last video you would have watched, there's a master map, and that's all the land that we have covered over the last 7 months, and we're still covering now. And there's literally no trace, nothing whatsoever. So I hope that gives you more information and a little bit more insight to what's going on. Thank you.
What happened to Finn Creaney? What really happened to Finn Creaney? How did he somehow manage to vanish into thin air? Is it possible that he had a tragic accident, maybe slipped and fell somewhere, hurt himself? Now, the problem with this hypothesis, he was very experienced in all sorts of terrain. I mean, this is what he used to teach people. He did it for a living. So if there was one person who was going to survive out there, it's going to be Finn. And although it's true that anyone can have an accident, the problem with that theory is still, why were there no signs of an accident? And even if he did have an accident, why did he disappear? I mean, that's no reason for somebody to just disappear. Surely by now, his remains would have been found, or his things would have been found. The only thing that has been found was his rucksack, and that was 18 months afterwards, which actually raises suspicion. Is it possible that Finn decided that he wanted to disappear, that he wanted to just go? The problem with this theory is that he had a lot of things to look forward to in life. For example, he had a child on the way. For me, that's more than enough reasons to think why somebody would not want to deliberately disappear. But we also must not dismiss the possibility that on the surface he may have looked happy, but deep down inside he may have been depressed, and he may have wanted to unalive himself. Now, I don't believe that that is the case, and that's because he already had a child, and he was probably looking forward to seeing her. And as we already discussed, he had a child already on the way. He was happily married. He didn't have any financial stresses. There were so many things, so many reasons for him not to want to do that. Now, is it possible that there was a third party involved in the disappearance of Finn Creaney? Now, unfortunately, this is the theory that I believe holds the most weight. And let me explain to you why. Firstly, there was nothing found. No signs of him whatsoever. If you listen to what his wife said in the video, she said that there was no signs of a fire. There was no signs that he was ever there. Now, I believe that somebody got rid of all the signs that he was ever there. Why would his bag be found 18 months later and not earlier on? Why did it take so long for the bag to be found? Again, for me, that raises suspicion. Maybe the bag was put there as a decoy to make people believe that he must have gone into the loch, even though that's not the case. Guys, bear in mind that I'm being very speculative here, and this is just my opinion. Now, it took a long time for me to come up to this conclusion that somebody else was probably involved in his disappearance, but I really do believe that this is the case. Now, if his bag was found much earlier on near the loch, by the cadaver dogs or the many people that were searching the area at the time, then my opinion may have been different. But again, I believe that this was put here 18 months later as a decoy. The timing for me raises this chilling question. Could the bag have been placed there later? If so, it would mean that somebody else handled Finn's belongings after he disappeared, perhaps to make it look like he drowned or suffered some sort of accident. Now, why would they do that? Well, I guess to divert another possibility altogether. There's too many reasons to think that the bag was placed there afterwards. Search teams had already scoured the area multiple times in 2022. They didn't just have units on the ground, they had drones, they had everything. They had dogs, they had so many people checking the area, and yet they didn't find that rucksack. I find that very, very difficult to believe. Now, if indeed the rucksack was planted there later, this would suggest that Finn encountered somebody else that day, and that something far more sinister happened out there. But without clear forensic evidence, that remains speculation. Now, what happened to Finn's mobile phone? Well, it stopped working at about 1:47 p.m, and that was just before his drop-off at 2:15 p.m. Now, this is a puzzling detail. Now, according to public records, his phone ceased sending a signal at 1:47 p.m. while in the Larg village and at the crossroads. Isn't it strange that his phone seemed to stop working just before he was dropped off, and yet he didn't seem to mention anything about his phone not working? It is believed that he was going to use his phone to film his adventure for his YouTube channel, The Wildcat Bushcraft, and that makes the lack of phone activity especially odd. There is no public indication that the phone was recovered, found or damaged, or even tracked after that time. The details lean towards it either being switched off, going out of signal, or being out of range or somehow malfunctioning, but the exact cause is unknown. You see, because the phone stopped transmitting before the drop-off, one possibility is that something occurred en route. The combination of an experienced outdoorsman, zero trace of his gear or route, and the phone's early shutdown make this case extremely unusual. Now, who was with Finn that day? Well, no one, because Finn was on a solo hiking trip. The only other person mentioned in connection with that afternoon was the driver who dropped him off near Loch Naver. Now, some reports described that as either being a friend or a lift that he had arranged, but the person has not been publicly identified and is not suspected of wrongdoing.
So I've just taken a wee wander out to the viewpoint,